of the things I've been thinking about a lot since starting Ambition to Achieve is how difficult it actually is to answer what sounds like a very simple question. What's your ambition? On the surface, it feels like something you should be able to answer straight away. It's the kind of question people ask in interviews or conversations or even just casually in passing. But when you stop and think about it properly, most people don't have a clear answer. And not because they don't care or because they don't want something more for themselves, but because they've never really taken the time to define it. Now, what tends to happen is that ambition sits in the background as a vague idea. Something like, oh, I'd like to do something different, or I want to start something at some point, or I know I'm capable of more than this. But it never really moves beyond that. It stays general, it stays unclear, and because of that, it never turns into anything you can actually act on. So what I want to do in this video is not give you a perfect answer, because there isn't one, but give you a way of thinking about what questions that makes it easier to answer honestly and usefully. Something that you can actually work with. So the first thing is to bring your ambition down to something real. A lot of people feel pressure to say something big or impressive, something that sounds like it means something, but ambition doesn't need to be dramatic to be important. It could be starting a business, but it could also be getting more control over your time, improving your financial situation, changing career, or simply getting out of a situation that doesn't feel right anymore. What matters is that it's something that genuinely matters to you, not something that sounds good when you say it out loud. Now, the second thing is to make it very specific. Vague ambition doesn't lead anywhere. If you say, I want to start a business, that's still too broad to act on. It doesn't tell you what to do next, and it doesn't give you any direction. But if you take a bit of time to think about what that actually looks like, who it's for, what you'd be doing day to day, and why you want to do it, it starts to become something you can see more clearly. And once you can see it clearly, you can start to move towards it. Now, the third thing is to connect it to action. This is where most people get stuck. They have an idea of what they'd like to do, but there's no link between that idea and anything practical. So instead of thinking about the whole journey, which can feel overwhelming, it's much more useful to ask yourself what the first step would be. Not the full plan and not everything at once. Just the first thing you could realistically do that would move you forward even slightly. Because once you take that first step, it stops being an idea and starts to become something real. And the final thing, which is probably the most important, is honesty. Your ambition doesn't need to be impressive. It doesn't need to be something that other people would approve of or understand straight away. It just needs to be true. Because when you're honest about what you actually want, you're much more likely to stay connected to it and follow it through, even when it gets difficult. Now, the reason I'm thinking about all of this so much is because when I start doing these street interviews and speaking to people properly, this is exactly what I'm interested in. Not perfect answers, not rehearsed answers, but real ones. Answers that reflect where someone actually is right now, not where they think they should be. So, if I asked you that question now, properly, what's your ambition? Not the quick answer, not the easy answer, but the honest one. And if you've got an answer, or even if you're still figuring it out, I'd genuinely like to hear it. And if you'd be open to being part of this and sharing that in an interview, whether that's out on the street or in a conversation, then drop a comment, send me a message, or get in touch directly. Because this is what Ambition to Achieve is all about. Not telling people what to do, but creating a space where ambition can actually be talked about honestly, without needing to dress it up or make it sound like something it isn't. And if you want to follow the journey as this develops and see where it goes from here, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to give this video a like if you found it useful. And I'll see you all again next week.